Hey, let's do this. Crowdfunding, quick roundup. Where are things at? Quick thoughts after about 6 weeks into 2023. Boom. Where are my thoughts now? What's ending? What's going on? What's already ended? Let's do this. Quick hits. How many can we do in a short amount of time? This video sponsored by Aegis Season 2. It's ending prior to me filming this, and it's ending soon. At the time of me filming this, 21 hours left. Get Out Season 2. It's got almost $100,000 raised. Sleeper hit of 2021 when it came out, and Dice Tower loved it. And so you're going to be getting a bunch of stretch goals here that go along with it. New expansion as well at the higher pledge levels. And I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of late backing. So if you're really looking at this one, give this a heavy look-see as a pre-assembled, choose your own, but also ability to draft robots that combined that are going to be attacking, taking a certain amount of actions per turn, and just, rinse and repeat as a skirmish level game. So give it a look-see, give it a shout out. Give it something that you might like. It's just something to go in a Voltron Power Rangers-esque sort of way. So putting that one out there at the beginning here, let's go to the rest of them. What do we got going on? Hero Realms. This one literally just ended at the time I was filming this. It has a lot going on, and there was a bunch of exclusive from Wise Man Games. I don't understand the exclusivity that they've gone back to now, and it's going to be a big turnoff for people that are trying to get in, but that's then their FOMO-esque catch in this standpoint. So I don't fault them either, because it raises a lot of money, and they seem to do a really good job with these campaigns, and I just have no interest in it as this sort of game. It's probably one of those that I'd like if I actually played it, but for the price point and the exclusives, as someone who hasn't backed the previous Kickstarters, you know what? I'm happy to let someone else show me how well it plays. Let's go over to Chomp, Sale, Couture, and Mindspace. This one is just absolutely killing it. I can't believe how much Every Time Board Game Table / All Play does. And they put out these games out of nowhere. A couple of them are remakes, a couple of them are originals. They're imports that are, revisions. And especially Chomp and Sale are really my personal picks here. And I really will be, I'm logged in, and why am I not backing this? I thought I backed this. Anyway, I'm backing Sale after the end of this video. But a 2-player cooperative trick-taking game, a tile laying, where the mixing and the matching of these tiles and the laying over and the asymmetric objectives are just being kind of cool. They give you a little bit of incentive each one, as well as an upgrade that you can get. Now, my biggest advice always, though, is get the one you want. Don't get the other ones because it's a better deal. If you spend more to save more, you're still going to spend more. Don't spend more on things you don't want. I think the other two are unique. I think the other two are different. It's just your mileage may vary. Mindspace being a roll and write, that's a little bit different. Couture being an auction style bidding game. Check them out if you're interested. They put out a very solid quality product. It's just whether or not they're all for you. And so the biggest thing I've seen on the secondary market is that people pick up them all and they end up trading a couple away. Next up, we're just going to talk about the modular gaming table from Wyrmowod real quick. I call this a kitchen table because I don't have a dedicated game room. The other thing that I kind of like, at the same time, I think it's deceptive marketing that we've seen with a lot of these tables, is you see that the pledge level over here is $299. And again, I have no problem about the wave situation, because as a business, from that side of things, I understand that you need to do that. But the other problem that I have with this is that you scroll down here and this is where they actually get you, right? $299 for getting in, and then they nickel and dime you with the size, with the width, with the height, with the hex shape, with the topper system, with the magnetic rail, how it's constructed, all the accessories down here. And you'll notice that none of these on here actually have a price. None of these options give you a price of how much it's going to actually be. So that's what you're going to have to do, because it really, see page for full details. Well, there's actually no pricing except for down here. You have to click this, click on that link, and it brings you over here, and then you have to design it over here, and then you can start seeing it. So you choose any of these things, it starts being a different wooden type, it starts being felt, it starts doing all of these, and you're already up to like $750 for this one, right? So the fact that you're putting in $299 here is pennies on the dollar. So that's what I hate about this deceptive marketing thing. So you need to be careful that you're not getting in for too much, and buyer beware, essentially, from that standpoint. So next up, Stonesaga. If you had told me that Stonesaga was almost going to have as much money as Andromeda's Edge at this point, I would have laughed you out of the building. At the same time, people really like what OOM is putting out, and they put out a solid product. They put out a different product, and it has mass wide appeal. This is a cooperative Zen-like asymmetric game where you are taking actions using a card-based system, and it's got a lot of cards. It's got a lot of unpredictability. It's got a lot of crafting. It's going to be a little bit puzzly. It's going to be a little bit Diablo-esque in terms of storing your resources, and it's going to be a little bit thinkier than it appears on the surface. I have no idea, because I only played the first opening prototype scenarios, but they're going to be like 20 or so scenarios, 2 expansions to go along with it. That's the other big thing I'd have to be concerned about, is that it's going to be $200 for all of that stuff. And so you really need to like the concept of this game, because if you don't like the concept, the actual gameplay is not going to change your mind. But if you like it, it's going to be different than other things you've played, and you should be looking at it from that aspect of things. So take that for what you will. Speaking of Andromeda's Edge, we'll just go over to Andromeda's Edge. Now, again, they have a big lead on Stonesaga, but again, this also launched over a week in advance, and this only has 6 days left at the time of me filming this. So that's what we're going to see, because this one has 7,600 backers, and this one has 6,800 backers, which again shows you that even though they've got $300,000 more, they don't have that many more backers total. The big question with this one is, do you need both? Do you need Dwellings and you need Andromeda? Do you need a slightly simpler or streamlined version of it, or do you need a slightly more complex, more modular, more engine buildy type experience that's also going to be longer significantly? And so that's the answer that I don't really have. Now, everyone is going to tell you that likes this game. You know, it's sort of interesting. There was a person that asked a comment on the Board Game Geek forums, was like, hey, can anybody tell me if this game is good based on their plays on it? And what do you think that the forum comments were, right? Like, no, this game is horrible, you shouldn't get it. No, they were overwhelmingly positive, because you have a big selection bias of the people who are actually in the forums in the first place. So that's what you just need to be aware of. Not whether or not this game is going to be good, whether or not this game is going to be good for you. Because if it's not good for you, you shouldn't be getting it. I don't care how exclusive it is. I don't care if it's the top 10 game of all time. I don't care if it's the top 10 game that's going to be released in probably whatever 2024 when you get your copy. But it needs to be good for you, because if it's not good for you, you're going to end up selling it. I don't care if you make money. I'm not in this to tell you to buy things to sell them to make money. I'm in this to tell you good games for you. And so if you want a slightly more deeper, slightly longer, slightly more complex Dwellings of Elderville, I don't know why I'm touching the table so much like this, but that's what you need to be looking at. And, you know, do you have 2 or 3 hours to play a game like this? You know, especially with a higher player count. Do you like that sort of thing? If you are a heavier gamer, yes, this maybe is Dwellings more for you. Dwellings in space. You're going to get a bunch of factions. You can get all the deluxifications. That's the other thing I'll say. And I still don't like this. Now, they did do a little bit of better graphic after the first time it came out. So they have all the stretch goals here. They have all the upgrades. And they finally break it down in terms of, if I can find it here in the first place, maybe I already skipped over it. What all the pledge levels are going to do. Let's see if I can find it here. The component highlights, the gameplay. Here, they finally put this out after the first week, and so they run you down a little bit of this, but I still don't like the fact that none of the pledge level rewards are the gameplay ones, because you've got the all-in, which gets you all the add-ons. That's great. You can get all of this other stuff, all the miniatures washed, the expansion stuff, the card sleeves, the neoprene dice trays, again, another example there. Extra dice and a little bit of content, as well as a coaster set. Like, I don't want a coaster set. I don't want neoprene dice trays. And so I wish that they had more than just the standard edition. I wish I didn't have to add all the stuff individually. Not that it's a bad thing, but I just, you know, kind of wish they had a gameplay all in like Awakened Realms does. And so say what you want about Awakened Realms, but they always do a good job of laying that out. And so they've definitely done a sprucing up with the rest of this campaign page. And so they've definitely put out a bunch of stuff there that you can check out as well. But again, if you want it, it's still going to cost you probably upwards of $150 to get any sort of slightly deluxified or even gameplay all-in-one after shipping. Do you want to play it that badly? Do you need to play it that badly? Can you play it that badly? That's really the question you have to ask yourself. Next up, Settle Watch Forsaken Isles. Again, people say this is a quality game. It's more of a puzzly co-op game that can also be played as a solo one. Do you really need a new edition? Is the new edition adding that much? It's adding a few stretch goals. It's adding a few standalone issues and mechanics that are going to be going along with this one, separate from the others. But as someone who hasn't played this game, I don't really know if this one is going to be that much better. But why I would probably get this one if you're looking at this one is because usually these games, like we've seen with any of these iterations, is that the second or third one around tends to be just that much better, and you don't actually need the first one. You know, I'm looking at the copy of Clank Catacomb sitting right here next to me, right? Like, this is the one that everybody says get. Don't get the other ones nowadays. So if you bought the other ones, are you kind of left holding the bag, or, you know, kind of, you know, feeling left out if you don't get the new one? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. But again, do you want something cooperative, puzzly, and turn-based nature, where you're watching a fire and protecting it from the evils that lurk in the dark? That's what you're going for here. Here are the stretch goals. They put out a good quality product, and there's no question from that aspect of things. Oh boy, is he gonna rant on this one like he did last time? I'm probably the only one that cares, so I probably won't rant as much. But no freaking pencil sharpeners or colored pencils. Go buy your own colored pencils for $1 or $2 at the local store. Don't pay $7 for them here. Don't pay the extra $5, $7, or $10 for the sharpener that they're gonna give you. Go pick up your own for probably about the same price at the store as well. Or use a laminator, buy a laminator for the same price and laminate your cards instead and pick up markers and do it that way. Otherwise, I mean, I think this looks like a great game. I think Blueprints of the Mad King Ludwig is everything I want out of the Castles of Mad King Ludwig that I didn't, get. And so I think it's great, and I think that's why it's getting the funding goal that it is, but I don't see any reason to back it for me personally. I also don't like the fact that they pledge locked their stretch goals behind all the deluxe versions. The retail version literally doesn't get any of the stretch goals, so I don't even know why you have this pledge level out there in the first place. Don't even understand it. Don't even understand it from that side of things. So you can buy a regular pencil sharpener, though, an old school mechanical one. I don't think my kids have ever seen one like that anyway. But that's it. That's all you need to know. I mean, $70 is just more than I'm going to pay for a deluxeified version of this, as much as I like the idea. And do you really need a neoprene playmat for a roll and write? Take that one to the bank. Homeworld Fleet board game, X-Wing with a lot of other stuff to go along with it. That's also self-contained. It's got over $250,000, which again is really impressive for a video game based IP that I had no clue that was going to be a thing. And so that's really the appeal, right? It's X-Wing in a nutshell. So you're not buying individual expansions, but they sort of have all these different little pledge levels that is sort of, you know, this fighter one, which is kind of part of actual base army. And then you have the commander one, which is really the actual full like set. And then if you really want to get a bunch of stuff and have a lot of variability, I mean, it's going to cost you $200 plus at this point. So that's a lot to get in. I mean, people who do X-Wing, I mean, you don't buy usually people like a big X-Wing set, right? You could buy one here, one there, one there, and one there, one there, and one there. Not $200 all at once. You buy more as you know that it fits you. And so to buy $200 all in for a game like this, not knowing whether it fits you, that's the big question. And that's my holdup in a game like this. As someone who can't get Star Wars Armada played in the first place. So I'm jealous of those that can. $100,000 for a game that failed last time, Deep Shelf. They did something right. They, you know, did something that people want, and they did something that people are willing to spend money on. And so that's the trend of things. And that's why I'm highlighting this, is we've seen this happen time and time again over the last year and a half, where things all of a sudden the second time around just destroy the first time around. And I'm not sure why that is, because, you know, I didn't see as much marketing or more marketing to an nth degree with this one than the first time around. So basically you're trying to, you know, scrape the bottom of the ocean for resources and not do it too quickly with destroying the habitat. But if you do, well, that's going to cause the end game to come faster. Again, heavier Euro style game. I don't have a whole lot of interest in it, but it'd be one that I might be willing to play should it come to the table. So give this one a look-see, a reminder where it is a year from now or a year and a half from now. That's going to be sort of the test of the market. And then we have Dungeon Degenerates, Hand of Doom. It's another printing. Blessing Curse with this one. I don't really know what to make of this one at times. And we have sort of this unique little miniature that they do every single time. So if you miss out on the previous ones, they really heavily FOMO that one. And so that's why you see a fair number getting just that. But it's a dungeon crawl, open world, campaignish scenario game that have just a different variety and ilk. Personally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of the vibe, but I know a lot of people are. So give it a look-see if you're interested. But yeah, it tends to be heavier on the crowdfunding and not as heavy on the retail, so just be aware. Now we're going to go to a few games that have already ended that I'm going to give you a few quick snippet post thoughts on. Marvel United Multiverse. Again, I went with the $100 pledge. I'm probably going to spend too much in the pledge manager. I am not going to justify getting all of this. I don't think I can justify it all with this all-in pledge as much as I want this $360. I don't think I can justify another like $300 on top of the $100, because you know shipping is going to be at least $40, and that would be $260 plus the shipping at this point, even though they're throwing in a Fing Fang Foom for the exclusive villain and location that goes along with him. So not only are they pledge locking content, they're pledge locking locations now. But if you just want to get in, I mean, this is a great one to get in on. I'm probably going to get a couple of these decks that are going to go along with it, because you're getting some of the decks already in the first place with the stretch goals, and then I'm probably going to get a couple of the other expansions. But looking at this right now, even at the end, I'm probably not going to get all of them, because they redid the Fantastic Four one. Nope, that's going to be a pass. Incredible Hulk, the Hulk World one, probably going to be a pass. The War of the Kings, probably. Age of Apocalypse, for sure, that's number one. Civil War, probably going to be a pass. Secret Invasion, that's a maybe. Annihilation is a maybe. Maximum Carnage is a maybe as well, just by the sheer what they're doing as well with that. And then these pets, I think they jumped the shark, literally speaking and figuratively speaking, with that one. Campaign decks, though, the promo decks and the team decks are going to be the ones that I'm going to be looking at very, very heavily. And this is the little exclusive here. So also, I might just buy this from someone else later, like I did Old Man Logan. Yep. And so they run you through the content here, and I did a whole video on the breakdown and the ranking of all this. Actually, you know what? I'm probably going to get the playmat too. I missed out on the playmat, skipped the cardboard locations. So way too much money invested in this game, and I'm going to regret paying for all of it, but I'll do it anyway. So Vadis and Gussy Gorillas. Vadis, absolutely great game. Not for everybody. Definitely needs a good dynamic of the table, but they actually did really well. Gussy Gorillas, it's going to be a social dynamic game in the lines of, now if I screw this up, is it Lanterns? No, it's not Lanterns. It's the other one that you put the cards out and you do it backwards. I'll think of it later. But for some reason, Lanterns is always the one I think of when I'm talking about that game. But anyway, it's a good game. You need 3 to 7 players, though. You probably need at least a good 4, maybe even 5 for this game. And so if you're looking for something that plays well at that player count, this is an absolutely great game. What they've done with it, how they've redone it compared to the original base game is really, really satisfying. It plays quickly, and it's just a very solid game. And so I think for the price point that you're getting here, It's just a question of whether or not you were willing to pay for the deluxe or wait for the retail at retail. And if you were, well, great. I think you're going to win out on that one. Among Us and Hollywood 1947. Again, very two different games in terms of the depth and the strategy and the dynamics, but very similar in terms of the overlap in the audience in terms of looking for a social deduction game. This is the social deduction game right here, Hollywood 1947, that I said previously, that if you're looking for a social deduction game and you don't have a good one that, you know, is going to be a little bit better than just your standard Resistance, Werewolf, Secret Hitler sort of games, this is a great, fantastic starting point, and I would highly recommend it because of the dynamic elements there, because of it's more than just shouting at each other across the table, but it's also a really good price point at $27. So if you can lay back right now, which they say you can, you should give it a look-see if you're interested at all and you missed the crowdfunding campaign. The problem with Among Cultists, as good as this one looks and as much as this one looks really cool, is again, you have to have the higher player count. You're not getting eliminated. It's not going to be as high overhead as Blood on the Clock Tower, but it looks like to me like it's more like a Blood on the Clock Tower light. And so if you don't want to pay $150 or $175 or $200 for that right now, and you don't have the 12 to 15 to 20 people that are really going to make that game shine, if you really have the 5 or 6, like I said with the other two games, and you want something, your group wants something a little bit heavier, a little bit more dynamic, you look at this. The other one that I just talked about that's coming to retail soon is Station Fall. Give that one a look-see too, but this is going to be a little bit lighter than even Station Fall. It comes with a couple expansions though, and that's the big price point issue. Is the other one's 27, this is 99 for it all. And do you really need both of these? Can you get just the one right now? But this one is going to be, I think, on a lot of people's radars as a sleeper hit later after it delivers. And last up, we're going to talk about this one from Alley Cat Games. This is Arborea, sort of a little bit of a different worker placement style game, a little bit different vibe. Everyone was comparing it to Batoku, even though the mechanisms are nothing like Batoku. I think this one also looks like something up my ilk eventually, that is not like super heavy, but has a worker placement element, but a very dynamic otherwise engine tableau sort of as well. And I just kind of like it. I like the aesthetic, and I like what they're doing with the worker placements here and how you're doing some of the mechanics here of sharing your resources and moving the workers along the paths and then generating how they're going to do the resources. It's just a question with a deluxe Euro game, you know, do you need to get it on crowdfunding? And it was actually a relatively good price, all things considered, because most of these deluxe Euros we actually see are crowdfunding more close to $100, not like $60. So, yeah. It did, you know, probably really good for all things considered, what it was putting out there, about $200,000. So not as big as some of the other big Euro games, but definitely bigger than some of the other ones that we've seen, I believe even from Alley Cat Games with their other ones like Autobahn and Tinner's Trail. So very respectable. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see what it looks like in the retail side of things. That's one thing that I don't really have a clue on from that aspect of things with the Euros and the heavy worker placements, how they translate from the retail side of things and how they hold up comparatively, because we just saw that literally with like Carnegie, right? Like I just did the video of looking back 2 years that Darwin's Journey is literally in delivering soon, but you have a game that just came out in crowdfunding more recently and got delivered more recently in Carnegie that people were calling the game of the year from the worker placement side of things. And so with a game that was put out on crowdfunding before and is delivering after, how are the inevitable comparisons going to be made, and will it stand up to the test of time, even the stuff that comes, you know, more recently? So there we go. Okay, so I rambled on a little bit more than I meant to at the end, but you know, that's what you get with a video from me. So those are my snapshots at the recently ended, as well as the ongoing crowdfunding campaigns, just in a nutshell, because this week was a little bit of a lull and I decided to do something different as well. So let me know what you think. Let me know. I think you guys like this video, and it's brief little snippets, recaps, and thoughts, rambles along the way. So if you do, let me know in the comment section down below. Have a Patreon. That's all I got. Hit 7,000. Video will be coming out soon with the giveaway. So if you're watching this part, you get to hear about it and you'll know about it when it pops up. So there you go. Stay classy. See you around. Have a great day.